Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to an installment of, and I know that this is becoming a recurring theme of sort of it came from the workbench installments that were never intended to be it came from the workbench installments, because I have, on some level, I've kind of stopped trying to fight the fact that I'm not a solid documentarian. Like, I can talk about what has happened, but talking about it while it's happening, other than the wheeling part, like fabrication stuff in the shop, the music goes on, the music is loud, and as I've been accused by my children, I just fall into something. So what we have here is, I guess, it came from the Workbench 23, and it's right over here out of frame, and it's effectively done. It's 90% done, completed over the course of about 6 hours, as sort of a method to not have to do what I was supposed to be doing. I was digging through bins to find the rest of the parts for the body for It Came from the Workbench 20. The Phoenix fenders, the little plastic bits to attach the fenders to the cage, that stuff. Stuff gets shuttled and shuffled around all the time. So I was looking for those. I was looking for the paint masks for multiple bodies, which have somehow become separated from the bodies. And while I was looking for them, I've just been calling him locally here in the workplace Mr. 22. Mark Saxton, who is the man behind It Came from the Workbench 22, who sent all the stuff in for It Came from the Workbench 22. I think I mentioned earlier on that he had sent in a big old box. Like, he sent in a box of stuff, like 2.5 rigs worth of stuff. And I did not use a ton of it. And then as the build was going on, he keeps sending more stuff and other stuff and more stuff. So as I'm digging through these boxes where bits of 20 live, bits of 22 live, stuff for plofferings that haven't been put up on I need to do another ploffering soon. So I'm just digging through these boxes, and one side of my brain is like, find what you're looking for. And the other side of my brain is just setting stuff aside. And I set enough stuff aside that I was like, I bet that with a little bit of thought and effort, we can make something. And then we did. So, the Canyon contribution to It Came from the Workbench 23, which you're looking right at right now, which, I mean, I don't know how well it's going to show up post-edit or everything, but it's pretty blacked out. This is, of course, Toothless's old body. These are Jake's old shocks. And other than that, this is brought to us courtesy of the people of the Canyon. This, It Came from the Workbench / It Came from the Parts Bins, is a Canyon collab. The tires and axles, these are, okay, so the body holds quite tight. This is not a particularly heavy rig, but I didn't want to bother with any sort of body mounting solutions. So it's all Velcro. Just Velcro the old body on. The batteries are Velcroed in. They are the tiny little 853S, because for It Came from the Workbench 22, it's my show. I can talk about whatever I want. We have ordered 654S packs for that. Look at the size of these. I typically run a 1300 4S. Look at the difference in that size. This battery weighs like 2.5 ounces. It weighs nothing. I'm starting to embrace the idea that hasn't even been resoldered yet. These, of course, have. So this is mostly a Mr. 22 build here. This whole chassis, it was just loose pieces thrown into a box, so I had no idea what it was. And I started looking at it and going, I probably have enough pieces to cobble something together. So, AliExpress via Israel were sent a set of Fusks and these Capra clone axles, clone Capra axles, which I am dubious about the quality of. All the internals seem great. I'm pretty sure I took a picture. Hopefully, Editor Guy will remember to put that picture up. All the portal gears look exactly like Axial portal gears. I mean, identical. So the portal gear reduction is exactly the same as a Capra or a 10-3 axle. 12-tooth input gear, 23-tooth output gear. So they're identical. The ring and pinion look very much like Boom Racing style, the 3-bolt. But they look like machined. They could be cast, but they do indeed look like machined ring and pinion gears, which would be crazy because I think these Capra axles were about $50. So AliExpress via Israel, the Fusks and the axles. Via Rusty, the shocks. But the servo and the motor and the speed control and the chassis are from Mr. 22. They were in the box. Some of the links, oh yes, and we desperately need to talk about link ends. There are often complaints made about Amazon, AliExpress quality stuff. Some of them are still in place. They have not been replaced. So this end right here, which will be too difficult to see, so we will put it in my hand. So this sort of rod end right here, very typical to what you're going to get on AliExpress and Amazon. It's a fairly reasonable approximation of a Traxxas rod end, but I'm hoping that this will give you an idea the difference in size of a Traxxas rod end. The Traxxas rod ends are so beefy that often it's so large around the hollow ball that it will bind on things like chassis, in the center chassis where they bolt on. They're big enough that I can have impact issues in some places, like, for instance, right here. Like that end barely clears the chassis right there. So I make an effort to throw these things away because that wall is so thin compared to that. So just be aware, if you're using these, you're probably going to tear some of them. Like, I turned these high clearance links a little bit to make them sort of more directional, because what'll happen is you'll get cross torque on that and it will just pop them right off. Your other option is to run the big Traxxas style hollow balls like here, which have a huge flange on it, and it's so big that it's impossible for that rod to pop off. There was no good combination to get these front links settled. There was some cutting involved because a Traxxas gearbox, God bless you Traxxas, was never intended for use without an offset front pumpkin. The rear lines up pretty well, perfectly, as we can see. But the front, I had to machine this drive shaft half down on the lathe, and you still see shiny and shiny. That's where it's self-clearancing. Now, this could be remedied by just using some sort of aftermarket drive shaft. But, as I mentioned, this was built over the span of about 6 hours. Oh, and also, and then we take the Vanquish, which was sent in, and we press channel 3. And you'll notice, can't hear the rain. It's more like sound of distant thunder. What I did, and hopefully that idiot will remember to include a picture of it. Inside the BBs, these are the foams that come with Fusks. They are impossibly hard. Even this cut down to this size, it still won't crush it all the way. Like, what are we doing? So, traced them out cut them on the bandsaw. They're really easy to cut. Far easier than I anticipated. So that's what's inside here. We don't know if it'll work. There's 100 grams of BBs inside each one. The BBs kind of hang up on the foam. I think the foam might be like maybe if I shape a channel. We're not done trying to figure that out yet. So it came from the Workbench 23, is already named. It was named by the environment that it was built in. Its name is Skeeter. I've been calling it Skeeter from the outset because, not entirely because of the appearance, a little bit because of the appearance, but during the 6 or so hours that I spent building this, I am not exaggerating when I say I did this and killed a mosquito every 2 to 3 minutes nonstop for 6 hours. And I got the LD44T, 1% pyrethrins, the stuff that's for like automatic sprayers in like bathrooms and kitchens. It will clear any insect out. Like all the gnats are going. Sometimes flies get in here. I leave the door open, the place fills up with flies. It will clear any insect out of here, and these mosquitoes don't care at all. I don't know how many times I was bitten on the arms and legs and back and neck. It was like I was in the Alaskan wilderness. So Skeeter was built under the slap fest of trying to keep the mosquitoes off of me. And honestly, it kind of flew together. I just grabbed pieces and kept putting pieces. And this is a 13-turn, the real one, the Gold Boy Rocket 13-turn 540 plus V2. So this is the 2-pole, not the 4-pole. Geared 1145. And it feels quite good. I think it's going to feel a little bit better once that drive shaft self-clearances itself a little bit. I had the spacers on hand. I did have to whittle things down. The rear of the chassis used to come out like basically back to the tires. We did what we do. We chopped it. Put the braces in. I had to whittle the front down to clear steering. And on the axles, I should point out, again, I took a photograph of this. Hopefully he remembers to include it. The kingpins made no sense. So it was this little 2-part fella. So we had a little bushing and then a screw. And like the picture will show if he finds it, that much of it stuck out top and bottom. And I looked at the size of the hole, and these are just regular beadlock screws. And it's more noticeable down here on the bottom, if the lighting catches it. They're just smooth down there. Also, worthy of note about the AliExpress, I still feel pretty positive about the AliExpress capper axles. Some of the spots of the molding are suspect. But because everything is just a straight up clone, you could just get an axial housing or axial housings front and rear for what are they, about $10 a piece, and just swap all the parts over. So that is the only part I'm worried about. This is the plastics. The universals seem good. They use a mostly round pivot. Get in there. They use a mostly round pivot instead of the barrel pivot that cheaper universals will use. So that should be a little bit more durable. Like I said, I have no worry about the pinion or the ring gears or the output gears. They look exactly like axial. And there is a ton of thread. Get in there. Look at the amount of thread that's out. Also, channel member Rick Delgado sent me a message and was like, they're clearing out apparently clearing out the TE37 clones, the 5-spoke. It's easier to see if they're gunmetal. Those look like that, but these are absolutely murdered, so they just look black. They were clearing these out, and they've changed the hardware. I don't know why. These use the 2.5 hex. These came with the hardware that used the 2mm hex. I saved some. These little guys right here. If you notice the chrome is too shiny and looks too fake, probably just throw them away. I stripped 3 of these out just trying to assemble the wheels, and there's only 12 per wheel. So that's not good. That's like a, 5% strip out rate? So I just started throwing them away and replaced all the screws in the back and then went with the black scale hardware because we're going for the full murder here. Did I mention that it's Canyon Softs in the back and our first attempt at dual stage beans in the front, which I don't think is going to be the hottest ticket. Like, they work, but the range stick is pretty... Like, the beans are hanging up, like, hollow, nice. But it's really slow for the beans to fall. And when the beans wedge themselves up against the sides of the foam, it looks like the tires have tumors. So this has not even been wheeled on the ground to the point to check to see if I got the steering straight. These, you can tell by looking at the tires, very shiny. This hasn't even touched the ground. So it's going to touch the ground. We're going to take it outside. We're going to run it through a couple paces. We're going to check it on the side. We're going to do the usual stuff. We're going to do like a junk view, extended junk view evaluation, because aside from a TRX4 gearbox and drive shafts, we're talking some low dollar stuff. I paid $22 for the wheels. There is not... This is an Amazon and AliExpress collab brought to you by the members of the Canyon. And we'll mention it here at the midway point, and we'll mention it towards the end again so everybody gets it. I consider this rig the property of the members of the Canyon. This does not belong to me nor to the Canyon proper, right? The whole, I'm doing this gesture, the whole thing. This belongs to the people of the Canyon, and it is up to the people of the Canyon to determine what do we do with it. What do we do with it? Do we, if Mark Saxton, Mr. 22, has what I would consider dibs. What he says this goes to, it goes to that. Yaron from Israel, shout out, who sent in the axles and the tires. He basically at that time said, do whatever you want to do with them. So we're going to do that. There'll be a little mini evaluation of the axles. We know Fusk's work. There'll be a little mini evaluation in between. I can't remember how I did this last time. I'm drunk on the whole Velcro for a body thing. I'm not saying that we're going to have there'll be an upcoming build that mounts this exact way, but I'm pretty much saying that. Clank coming up, whatever it came from the workbench number Clank turns out to be, the mullet build with the Gozer. That Gozer's mounting like this. That's all there is to it. It's not getting any holes in it. It's mounting just like this. I didn't trim or cut this body at all. It was hanging up on a hook since it got removed from Toothless. Toothless's body still isn't painted. I haven't painted any bodies. This just fits. There's no chance of rubbing because the AliExpress capper axles are plenty wide. And does he or does he not look just monstrous, right? We'll give it in both dimensions for the people of both sides of the pond. It's 10.5, which is 200 and just right at about 270 millimeters. And that 270 millimeters is okay because I just went organically. I knew he was going to be a truggy. Skeeter was set to be a truggy from the beginning. Wheelbase at 13 and 7/16, aka 340 millimeters. He is a long boy. So with this length and this width, the sufferings here are going to be turning circle and maybe some position ability. But like his vertical ability and his side hill stability should be nuts. 0 grams of added weight. Not only are there 0 grams of added weight, I don't have any inkling of an idea of what it even weighs. It was built over the matter of a few hours, and I never even took it into consideration. I don't know what the wheel set weighs. We're going to find out together. When I set it down, it hit 2,400 grams exactly, settled to 2,390. My American brain won't do it. 5.26 pounds, making him one of the lightest things we've got. And considering that there is a TRX4 gearbox in there, which is not light, like I said, I made no weight-saving efforts, nor would I. If anything with this rig, not having driven it, the only thing I would think I would lean towards would be adding weight. We will see if he needs front weight. I think I've got Zoidberg's old portal weights in the front, which I could slap on. We'll see. But we've got weighted wheels. So we know for a fact the front wheels weigh 100 grams more than the rear wheels. We're gonna run this guy as he is. He's got a convenient handle. We're gonna see how we do. How does it do when you just build a rig from I didn't adjust the shocks. I wiped them off with a microfiber and installed them. I knew I could remember from them coming off of Rusty that they were conventionally sprung. They were set up to be run this way. I have the green set from the Tranquish, and I was racking my brain. Were these set to run right side up or upside down? As I could not come to a conclusion, I just went with the red ones. And they fit the Skeeter theme. I wish that instead of copper underneath, it was red underneath, because then we'd be really properly Skeeter. I got bit so many times. Skeeter is going to experience rocks, and you're going to experience them with him at the very same time. We will see how we did. We will see how we do. We're evaluating so many things at once. It should hopefully be impossible to tell what's working and what isn't. It wouldn't be a day in the canyon without more changes to the AV setup, so please do bear with me for that. We'll hope the color looks okay. We'll hope the audio sounds okay. We'll hope that things like the cables that are attaching my live view monitor, which is right up here, don't fall down in front of the monitor. We don't quite have the cable situation sorted out yet. I've had to move to I can tap on this and it doesn't move. I've had to move to my big boy tripod, my fluid head, like I can do this. I've had to move to my big tripod because the weight of my combined thing. I got really complacent recording with the phone. The Fusks did what the Fusks do. They were picking and flicking everywhere. There was dirt like fountaining up in the air like 2-3 inches off the front tires as we were driving. The combination of a reasonably well set up set of Desert Lizards and the beans, dual stage beans in the front, compliance is on another level. Like the body doesn't shake. It's like, you know how when somebody knows how to run really well, their head doesn't move when they run, and you're like, how do they do that? That's what this guy is like moving over open ground. As I mentioned, geared 1145. With that 13 turn, it might be a little slow. I think we could go to 13-14 on the pinion, honestly, which would be great, because I did not mention this indoors, but where the screws are for the pinion adjustment, the passenger side screw is basically behind the spur gear. It was almost behind the spur gear when I threw this gearbox in with a 39 in it, and then I was like, you know what? It won't fit now. With a 39, much like on a Traxxas, it will only clear to like a 12-tooth pinion, and I had an 11. I was like, let's run an 11. So I'd have to do the math. Maybe I can go back. Well, now I would just gear it up, because if I gear up, the motor in the mount moves vertically straight up, and that'll just move it away from the drive shaft. The drive shaft is never supposed to interfere with the motor, because you're supposed to have an offset front pumpkin, but we didn't do that. Did I mention, did I even point it out? I think I pointed out we're on the Vanquish VT1. Seems perfect for it. More Canyon sourcing was sent into the Canyon, and someone said, I don't want anything for it, just take it from me. Sometime, look how low he looks. I mean, to me, with those red shocks against the all black, almost kind of spider-like. But Skeeter is the Skeeter. That low speed, that low. Oh, come on. All right, you wanna get out more difficult? It's fine. Oh my goodness. And mind what I say about the compliance. Let's see if he picks a tire up at all. Oh yeah, by the way, the travel, I want to say, I'm trying to remember, 5.5 inches back travel. Yeah, we're not lifting a tire. 5.5 inches back travel, 6.25 in the front. It's always strange to me when the front comes out with more. Little hang right here. We've got that angled skid. There we are. How's the turn in? You know? Ooh, this is a rig that could get away with front overdrive. I'm sure of it. So maybe, perhaps, look at crazy glue. Maybe put an overdrive up front. Oh, look at the width and look at the length. He is a lanky boy. Trying to spin that rear. Oh my. Whew. If I'm giving out directionality, positionability numbers, it does not drive like it has a monstrous 340 millimeter wheelbase. It drives really tight. We just managed to get a rear tire up there. Oh man, the drive. Some little hesitations there. Oh yeah. 827. 827 in the front, not even the 24. I don't know, 824 maybe? I would say 827. Oh, that width. And you can just out of frame a little bit, right back in. The turning circle is based on this thing's length and width. That turning circle is impressive. For those who do not like I guess the appropriate word is digital feel of something like a Fusion or even an Outrunner where it's just so immediate, this thing feels silky smooth. That is that 5-slot. Big bore 5-slot is so silky smooth. I'm having to use so little reverse. I thought that there would be a lot more need to position, but he feels remarkably agile, and the amount of forward drive. Wow, it just, I am a big proponent of big wheelbase. Lengthen it out. Look how flat that belly is. I think this is, again, what we've arrived, how sharp. I think what we've arrived at accidentally, incidentally, is once again, the whole being worth more than the sum of the parts. This is all AliExpress Amazon here. Hello, madam. Are we, what are we up to? Oh, it's like that, is it? This is a concerto. Concerto. The drive. I love the sound. Listen if you will, and you can't. So the impromptu dual stage beans, they're working. Like, it's adding enough support to the tire. And I think that weight differential by just having regular Canyon softs in the back, this guy has got, now again, The deprecating part of me, the self-deprecation that resides within me, and there's a big, heaping, steaming bowl of it, wants to say, well, you lucked into it this time. But then a more rational part that is not as self-deprecating is like, well, dude, you've built a couple of these, and I don't want to say it gets the drive. I don't want to say it gets easier with each one, but you're not a complete abject idiot. So we pick stuff up, what works and what doesn't. So when I'm putting those together, one side of me is like, you're guessing, and the other side of me is like, well, we know this works and this works and this works. So if we put those three things together, maybe they'll work together. Optimism is not my forte. We assume the worst. I wish, ladies and gentlemen, I wish that this was like 7D at the mall and you could feel what it feels like to do to this right here. This is a decent trigger on the VT1. I feel like there's such a connection between me and the rig. It's really nice. It's really nice. So a bunch of beans have indeed, oh, you can kind of see it as it passes through the sun here. A bunch of beans have fallen down and are now in between the foam and the sidewall rubber. So it looks like the front tires are just wrecked with tumors. But, oh, that driver front looks horrible. But, we got a little pumpkin hanger here. Yeah, that shuttle didn't need to be. The drive. Was the secret to Fusks all along filling them full of beans? I honestly don't think this would work as well. How about straight over? Straight over? Let's scrape that belly up. I mean, worthy of a wow, right? That's a wow. It does. Wow. That's a double wow. There we go. Is there any point where I'm going to have to get up? Is Skeeter the new king of the bucket chair? Because I've never gotten, look at this. Go, you tumorous beans. I've never gotten even into the realm where I felt like, oh, I'm going to have to go catch this and roll it over. Wide, long beans. Planted. Absolutely planted. This may be the very best way to start the day. If I could start every day from here until the day's end by randomly throwing a rig together and having it outperform my expectations on every conceivable level. I almost, to make other references, again, talking about the bikes, I feel like I'm starting to miss the bike a little. I need to, can you self-right? No, dang it, I am going to have to get up. While he's upside down there for a second, I feel like all those miles, 60,000 miles on a bicycle, all the runs I've done, walks I've done, hikes I've done, they talk about what is it, like the runner's high, the endorphin release. I feel like I never got that. Like, when I would get to the end of riding 100 miles, 120 miles, 150 miles, all I wanted to do was eat. Like, I rode to eat. I didn't ride to ride. I rode because I wanted to eat whatever I wanted. And I was just excited to be able to eat a big plate of food that would probably kill you if you were just sitting on the sofa and eating it. I think I might have something akin to that endorphin thing right now. Maybe. I don't know. I don't have anything to compare it against. Because when you make something and it works, like, no tune. Like, this is less than a 0 tune. I heard a little beans. I heard a little rain stick, a little bean action. Are we going to have any... I don't forecast any problems here. Get in more turn. Is it going to settle? I mean, I shouldn't be able to do this. The front tires just look like giant tumors. But man, the amount of steer, I thought the steer and the breakover were going to be like, we were going to be looking at offsets. Oh, well, we've got a mountain of forward drive. We'll tune some of the forward drive out to get back the things that we've given up. We've given up nothing. We've taken everything. And on the one hand, I think, could I use a little more wheel speed? Maybe. Am I willing? Well, it's not that hard to change opinion. Like I've mentioned in junk view testing, the ability to position yourself to where you can go like this, stay in that little notch above the notch, it's never even a problem. That big flat skid, it is a big flat skid. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. My goodness. Now it's just being replaced with the like, no. What's the other shoe and when does it drop? Because it can't all work. That's not a thing. Okay, that took. I wasn't even looking. Right out of frame, big hand. Right over there, Jeej was hopping over the fence, and I was just watching the fence. Soft side. I mean, what do we say? What do we say? It will just pull. If I give it all the throttle, we get a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. What is that? Between 13 and 19 millimeters of rear hop is where I'd maybe put it. Just absolutely claws. I could drive this all day. So instead, we're gonna see if he can, we're gonna go for a little bit of a bring down. We need to try to straight pull this, as that is rarefied air. And when I say straight pull it, I mean at low wheel speed. It's hoppable, you know, but it's the ability to, that right there. Not the lowest wheel speed that we've managed. I think we're actually getting to the tractional limit of the Fusk. And the tractional limit of the Fusk right here in the soft and bean configuration is really quite high. You do need, oh, the descender could give the Beansaw fitted Blue Sky High a run for his money on descending. Well, low and long. Like, Blue Sky High is high and almost as long. Straight pull. Need to just position that rear tire a little bit. Right about there. Up over the top. Do we have breakover? Almost. Yeah, absolutely no issues with the Ally Express capper axles yet. Yeah, I think it's actually the knuckles. Front knuckles I'm a little dubious about. But other than that, what do we feel isn't working? Do we feel anything isn't working? So we'll take a shot at ruining what has been an extraordinarily good time, at least for me. I don't know about for y'all, I hope so. At the deadliest of the Montanas. The Montanas are, of course, and I can remember them now, Joe and Tony. And here, very much unfinished, the deadliest of the Montanas, Hannah, who I have gone to some effort to construct a series of lines that I think should prove difficult and particularly harrowing with no fill material in them. Oh, this is making me so nervous already. I kind of wanted to see how difficult did I make this one. Oh, that line might be worse than the one that we're calling Murder Hole. That little death slot right there. Woo. So we will try with what I reckon to be the easiest, the easiest on this side. Oh, this is. Oh, come on, give me something to bite. Give me something to bite. A little more wheel speed. There it is. This thing is a wall crawler. Well, okay. Oh, yes. All right. Here in this final moment, hear this? Got a little slipper action. Still working okay? I had to put a 45 tooth spur in there, as I mentioned, replacing the 39. I didn't have any slipper pads, so I just clamped the plates directly to the gear. I think if there's something incomplete about this gentleman, it would be that it needs slipper pads. But hey, stopped me from breaking something right there, so that worked out. We will. I think I have a 12. So before this guy appears again, we will definitely we'll try a 12 tooth pinion, and I will figure out something about the slipper, even if it's cutting down old slipper material to fit inside a Traxxas spur gear. We'll see how that goes. He seems none the worse for wear, Skeeter. I would have to say for an inaugural voyage, I think there will be some agreement. Skeeter did remarkably well. I would like to point out here in the closing that I just fed this thing. She's over here sneezing in the dust. Skeeter and I and the Jage. Oh, here she comes. Here she comes. We would like to thank you so much for dropping by the canyon. Would like to thank you for watching. I'd like to invite you to come back and watch whatever we have next. To Mr. 22, what do we do? What do we? Oh, here we go. What do we do with the old Skeeter here? What's the grand plan? I leave it in your hands, and if you want to leave it in the hands of the loyal people of the canyon, I'm 100% fine with that too. Tumor wheels are one of my favorite things now. Let's try to finish with some contrast as I invite you to comment below. Comments are free, likes are free, subscriptions are free. Do all the free things. While you're at it, do consider a channel membership. Channel memberships and the kindness and the open-heartedness of the people of the canyon make things like the Skeeter over there just absolutely possible. That rig would not have been built were it not for the support of viewers like you. Not to go to PBS, CBS here at the Canyon Brunt. No, not CBS. Over here at Canyon TV, CTV. No, that's already a thing. I can't claim any acronyms. They're all already taken. We thank you so much. Let me know. Let me know. That guy right there. What's to do? What's to do? So good. So good. I'll fix the stuff. We'll talk about it again. I'll see you tomorrow.